Amanda Land. Amanda Land. Amanda Land. Good morning. Good morning. I lost track of time. I completely lost track of time. I'm so sorry. I completely lost track of time. Look at this, 63 people here. My fault, y'all. My fault. I completely lost track of time. And I was not, my fit is fun today, right? Yeah, I apologize. I really was I was editing something and then I was like, oh no. So we're gonna be a little all over the place today. I mean, today is technically a holiday, so it's like I feel like it should be like a holiday show. But not in like a we're not gonna do the show, but just in more of a, we're a little more loose. So what I think we should do today is we should come up with summer reading and watch lists. So as a squad, as an Amanda Landers team group effort, I think we should come up with like summer book lists, summer watch lists that we can share with our folks, et cetera, because I feel like, there's books that we can share with each other that people didn't know about, etc. And when you drop them in the chat, I can like Google them and put them up on the screen. So how do we feel about this? Do we feel like this is a fun day off type of jazz? Because I feel like this is a fun day off type of jazz. Okay, that we put together a summer watch list and a summer reading list. So if you guys are down, then that's what we're going to do. Okay. I mean, I also feel like it's like it's just a little brain break, y'all. Just a little brain break. We've been working, we've been thinking, we've been doing all the things, and a little brain break, it ain't hurt nobody. A little brain break ain't hurt nobody. Actually, I think it's very, very necessary. So I said, you know what? Let's just do a brain break today. So I'm really glad that you guys are down with this. I'm really glad that you guys are down with this. So, the question becomes, right? Like, what do we feel like is the things that we want to watch during the summer, right? Because I don't know about y'all, but I've been in a very learning, right? Like in a very learning vibe. But then I'm also in a very like, okay, but I also need a balanced vibe. Because I was talking last night on the views from on the what's it called? Small Doses bonus episode. I was talking about how like we can't, like, on one hand, I be feeling like bad about like not being in the dystopia completely. But then on the other hand, I'd be like, well, use this time wisely, right? Like use this time wisely to do other things than be in the dystopia to, support you so that if the dystopia come to you, then you're gonna be more fortified, right? So I feel like that's a solid way to do it. And, we may not always have the opportunity for breaks, right? We may not always have the opportunity for breaks. So while you have them, take them. We can agree on that, right? While you have them, take them. In the meantime, in between time, we continue to grow and continue to like expand the mind. All right. So I am going to bring up. Oh, let me give you a heads up on some things. One, if you are looking to really be a part of the Amanda Seales universe of things, we've made some shifts. I had started posting on Instagram again within the Instagram universe, but with my Smart Funny and Black Productions page. And it still just felt like a betrayal. Okay. It felt like a betrayal. And everyone said, Amanda, you know that you can post on Substack in the same way. And I said, you know what? I'm going to commit myself to Substack. I also need to be doing more writing anyway. So if you want to be in the Amanda Seales ecosystem, here's the 3 apps to have: YouTube, Substack, and an app called Whatnot. Okay? An app called Whatnot. Now, let me explain to you what Whatnot is all about. So Whatnot is a selling app. And basically, when I would be on YouTube Live, like packaging and doing stuff for Amanda Land Exports, it's actually better for me to do this on Whatnot because I can also do things on Whatnot, like sell specialty items on Whatnot in real time. So if you want to really like experience me doing live art, because that's what I'll be doing on Whatnot, I'll be doing live art and I will be talking to you, of course, but I will also be selling items. And so when you go to Whatnot, download it and you can follow the Amanda Land Exports page, and I will be doing shows on there. It's basically like your own QVC. It's basically like your own QVC. But what I'm going to be doing on Whatnot is like, you'll still be able to buy off of my Shopify. But whenever I'm doing a Whatnot show, you can buy in the immediate. No, I don't know about Spill. You can buy in the, y'all, let me just side note real quick. Y'all be calling things Black owned. And just because it's owned by Black people, y'all be like, this is the thing. And I'm just like, at this point, it just being Black is not enough for me. It's just not enough for me. Like, what I like about Substack is that there are Black people there. Also, I know that it is really about reading. Like, people want to read. So that's why I like it. Anyways, let me go back. So Whatnot, when I do my shows on Whatnot, you'll be able to get giveaways. And also, I will sell specialty items on there that are not available on Amanda Land Exports. Okay? So that is what I'm going to be building over on Whatnot. And it's my own little spot where I can have my shop and where you guys can get giveaways. You can get one of a kind. I will auction one of a kind items. And then also like, it'll be limited edition items. So like pillows, pouches, duvet covers. So I'm really working on eventually having a home goods line. That is what I want. I want a home goods line that doesn't need my face attached to it. And yes, sometimes Topra will be doing auctions. Absolutely. So make sure if you want to be in on the artistic creative side of Amanda Seales, that's where you need to go. Okay. I've never heard of this platform, Maxine Shaw. My homegirl told me about it. And listen, it's like, there's something for everyone. And the reality is, I don't want to be a part of corporations, right? I want to be able to, sell directly to you guys, or at the very least, be in places where it is direct to consumer. And so this is new to me. So we're going to be learning in real time together, y'all. I don't know why you getting that notification, AB. I don't know. That sounds sketchy, McNetchy. I don't know why they're telling you that. But nonetheless, so I'm really excited to try that out with you guys. I think it'll be a fun time. And, I think ultimately there's always these new things that end up really being the thing that helps you do what you want to do. Like, they have so many now anything that you're trying to do, there's like an app for that. So that's that. I don't know why you have to manually click on my lives. That feels odd, but I'm not sure what you're sorry about. Sorry you feel that way. I'm not sure what you're sorry about. The thing about it is that I'm not interested in just talking to Black people. And I think that's where I have expanded beyond. I am greatly interested in continuing to advocate and continuing to be in community and continuing to be a voice. However, I do know that it is requiring coalition beyond just us. And I think it's really imperative that we acknowledge that, right? So, I never shift from my voice of being a Black person. I never shift from my lens of speaking through a Black lens. I always am speaking through that lens. However, at this juncture, I think it is very limiting for me to only be in spaces, particularly in the digital world, where there are only Black people. And I can also acknowledge that I have not been as loved on and supported by predominantly Black spaces as I should be. I mean, that's just been my experience. I love my people and I will never not. I will never not. I didn't ask you to subscribe to Whatnot. So I'm not sure why Whatnot asked you to subscribe, but you're not spending money to be on Whatnot, Danielle. So I'm not sure what that was about. But ultimately, as somebody who has been in these spaces of entertainment, spaces of politics, spaces of academia, et cetera, et cetera. No, hold on, pause. Soul aside, that's why they asked you. Okay, you didn't know what they were talking about. They said, are you also an attorney at law, Maxine Shaw? Because Maxine Shaw on Living Single was an attorney at law. That's why. That's why that was said. Okay. Anywho, what I am saying is that at the end of the day, I am going to be I'm going to be in spaces where we can all be loved on. All right. And I have realized that unfortunately, we as Black folks, as we have to relearn community. And there is far too often in Black spaces, or what's considered to be an all Black space, a mindset of, if you're not of the groupthink, then you are a danger, then you are too much, then you are a problem, etc. And unless we move outside of this type of thinking, then we are in trouble. We are in trouble. Now, beyond these free spaces where I'll be on Substack, on YouTube, and on Substack, on YouTube, and on Whatnot, you can also subscribe to my Patreon. And you can also, there will be a subscription available on Substack as well, if you want to be able to hear the audio versions of the pieces. But I'm not. Yeah, like when people say like, oh, it's a Black owned app, it's still going to do the same things, which is taking your data. That's what all apps do. And so I want to be in spaces where I am really getting to connect with people, not just because of sameness in culture, but of sameness in values. That's what I'm really on right now. And I just watched the Whatnot info will be on Patreon. Absolutely. So I will be doing my first Whatnot tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern. Okay. So I'll be doing my first whatnot at tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern. Of course, I will tell you again tomorrow. I'll remind you tomorrow because I know that today is a weird day for us. Everyone's kind of off. Everyone's kind of off. You feel me? But like I can promise you over there on Spill, I would love to hear what the conversation around Democrats is on Spill. I would love to hear what the conversation around, Kamala is on Spill. I have a hunch that I know what the majority of the conversation is. And I hope my hunch is wrong, but I have a hunch I know what it is. And I feel we need to be having far more diverse conversations. And I did a clip on my Patreon yesterday. I posted a clip on my Patreon around brainstorming and around just the fact that we really do not brainstorm. We don't allow for ideas. We don't allow for exchange of possibility in our conversation, particularly on the internets. Right? Like it's almost like we decide there's only one way that something can be, and that's it. Like, for instance, in my Patreon, I was talking about how I just don't understand how anyone can be completely convinced that the two people that were unalived in front of the Israeli embassy were not a part of some type of dark plan from Israel. And there was a young person, I don't know if she was young. I don't know what she was actually, because she didn't have a picture, but there was a person in my Patreon who was like, well, I mean, do you really, she said, well, do you really think that this person who was the neighbor can't actually be Palestinian, pro-Palestine? Do you really feel like they can't just be in support of this? Did you read the manifesto? So first of all, let me just tell you this. When you start coming with all them questions back to back to back, you're going to incite tension. I just want to let you all know that. Sometimes people don't really understand how what they're saying on these internets looks. But if you respond to someone's point of view with a series of questions, I'm going to tell you now, you're gonna get because basically what you're doing is you're attempting to undermine their point. Okay, so there's that. But then when you follow that with, I've read all the books and I've done all the things and I feel like XYZ. Oh my God. Okay, Minier, bounce, go pray. XYZ, then I believe that Israel was not involved. And it's like, okay, that's not the point. The point is that to believe it and to consider it to be just the only thing is the problem. Because at this point, nobody feels like, at this point, anybody who feels like Israel is not involved, I mean, I just don't understand how you can be so committed to that. Am I wrong? Miss Blessed. Okay, Detroit. Like, I saw somebody who I had to unfollow on Substack. I saw them say, what did they say? They said progressives in quotes. So I had to unfollow because she said progressives in quotes when she followed it with this. So she said, progressives are trying to say, I'm sure I have ops in my Patreon. That's why they get kicked out. So she was like, all of that is BS. Someone said, progressives are trying to say that we are in a gerontocracy. And then her methodology to disprove this was to look at the age median of Congress. But she solely looked at the age median of the House of Representatives. So I responded back and said, if you're going to analyze this then there has to be a comprehensive analysis. First of all, you cannot simply just look at the House of Representatives, because she already said that the Senate is a little bit more of a struggle. Well, senators have longer times in office, 6 years, and senators have more power. So you're already disproving your point. Second, you can't simply just look at the legislative branch. There's 3 branches of government. So you have to look at the judicial and you have to look at the executive branch. Well, baby, the executive branch is a 70-something-year-old man, and the judicial branch is also a bunch of old people. So there's that. I mean, yes, Captain Jess, they're literally dying in office. Literally. Okay? Then on top of that, we have to acknowledge that these people are really not even the ones running the government. They are absolutely being run by corporate boards and lobbyists. So if you're going to do an analysis of how this country is being run, you cannot do a real sliver of the number to try to prove your point. And that's what's so frustrating about Democrats and people who are fighting so hard to be Democrat. At this point, in order to really stand on being a Democrat, you have to have such cognitive dissonance that you are literally looking at 10% of the whole in order to be okay, confirmation bias. No, we are a gerontocracy, 1 billion%. We are a geriatric oligarchy. That's what we are. So if you are really trying to do the analysis, really try to do the analysis. But as someone said earlier, they said, everyone's trying to be a thought leader. And it's true. Everyone is trying to be a thought leader. It's bugged. But you know what? I was going through a little depressive spell for the last 3 weeks. And when I tell you I'm out of it, I'm back. And I'm committed to this work. And I go through these spells ever so often, but every time I come out of it stronger, and I come out of it with more commitment, and I come out of it with more intention. And it can be a bit weird to have to figure that out in such a disparate time, but it's also necessary to do so. And that's why you'll be seeing so much more of my writing and of what would the ancestors say, etc. Because yes, everybody is trying to be a thought leader, but not everybody is a thought leader. So those of us who are need to lead. Okay. Oh yeah, I talk about depression, baby. I'll talk about that. I'll talk about some depression. Ma'am, say that, Miss Latia. Everybody trying to be a thought leader without thinking. What is that? Just without thinking. And yes, oftentimes it's with thoughts that are not your own. I mean, I really try my best to come at topics with unique thoughts. If you're just piggybacking off of what someone else has said, but not expounding upon it, then what are we really doing? You know what I'm saying? What are we really actually adding to the conversation? If I don't got nothing to add, then I really don't feel the need to say anything. And sometimes it's not necessarily that you are adding a new thought, but you're adding it in a way that it can be digested differently, right? And Orange Moon stepped it up. They said not everybody trying to be clout leaders. So I'm going back to my old school. So it's so funny how life is. I literally started out trying to sell my art on MySpace and putting up my little shows in the city, in New York City. And I'm back to that, except instead of MySpace, it's Whatnot. And I haven't figured out the venue in the city, but I'm going to really, really, really find my way to making What Would the Ancestors Say available in New York City at least once a month. At least once a month. I got to find a venue that will let me do it for free. And I don't know if there's anyone, I got to figure that out. I got to find a venue that will let me do what would the ancestors say for free? So we'll see if I can figure that out. But that's my goal, because I need it to be able to be seen regularly so that people can take it in. I want people to be able to come there and have community there. I want people to be able to, learn something new from every show, etc. So yes, that's the goal. Now, I don't know if Kevin Jasper is trying to shade me by saying cluttered desk, cluttered mind, but this is not clutter. This is collage. So if that's something that you're not able to see the difference in, that sounds like a personal problem for you. Marilyn says she has a venue. You have a venue in Detroit. Can you email me at VFAL at smartfunnyandblack.com? VFAL at smartfunnyandblack.com. Yes, I absolutely want to travel with the show. I absolutely want to travel with the show. For me, it's really just about like, how do I not lose bread on doing the show? Which means I just need, hotel airfare and my security. So I got to figure that out. But, which ends up being bread, not crazy bread, but ends up being some bread. And I got to figure that out. But I'm completely open to, which is why I would love to get some type of funding. But at the end of the day, I'm completely open to doing these shows for free, right? For free. And, the entrepreneurship thing, I don't even necessarily like the word entrepreneurship because I feel like it just leans into capitalism, but it's really about merchantry and leaning into merchantry and trade, like figuring that out. So for instance, like there's a venue in Florida that has been wanting me to come and do a dinner. And they were like, we'd really like for you to come and do a dinner. And I was like, well, I want to do my show. And they're like, okay, well, you can do the show if you do the dinner. Bet. Trade. They're like, we'll pay for you to come and do the dinner. We'll pay for you to come and do the dinner. In a Popka, 880. So this is where I'm really trying to work. And I'm just trying to figure it out. Like I do have bills to pay. I do have ways that I want to support people. And I do have art that I need to create, right? And so creating art costs some bread. And so, there's some thoughtfulness in that. But I just feel like if I can figure out how to continue to share this work with y'all for free, that would be Maxine said, "Oh wowzers, a Popka." That's a real Floridian who know to say "oh wowzers" in relation to a Popka. But that's it. So I'm definitely just trying to figure that out. And I don't know. I literally don't want to charge for my shows. I do not. You know why? Because I hate selling tickets. I hate the anxiety that it causes me to sell tickets. I hate the frustration when you don't sell the tickets. I hate having to hold it over people's heads. Like if we don't sell tickets, then I'm going to have to cancel the show. I can't stand that. I cannot stand that. So I'm not interested in being a part of that exchange. So I'm trying to figure out like, what are other ways where I can do things? And again, what are ways that I can be a part of places that already have a budget for this type of work? And do you know how difficult it is to create a nonprofit business? Also, in this day and age, in this economy, let me tell you something about nonprofits. Nonprofits are a whole other job. It's basically a whole other corporation. And they require so much reporting. It is unbelievable. And it really is, I don't know what kind of business you have, but it really is a whole other level of stress. Like you need kind of like a whole other person to manage it. See, like you're already saying things that confuse me. You say it's a nonprofit as a for-profit. Child. You already lost me. uh, 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 like, that gives me agita. So when I tell you I hate business, and so see, there's fringe festivals. Like these are things that like during my break, I'm going to be like getting time to wrap my head around. The goal of What Would the Ancestors Say is I will be releasing the script of What Would the Ancestors Say in November with a live stream show. So I'll be self-publishing the script of What Would the Ancestors Say that will be coupled in a live stream show where the tickets will be coupled with a book, a signed book at that. And it will be available to you all. And yeah, like, I mean, I think that there's a version of life where Sarah said, too bad we can't all invest in a performance space in NY or even a storefront where we can all meet for the summit and where Miss Seals can perform, make art, etc. Y'all so lovely. See, I think there's a version of this. I think there's a version of this where I can do the show in a non-conventional space. Right? So in like the basement of a restaurant that has a stage, or in a bookstore. And so in that regard, like I'm bringing people into that space that may not normally have been there. So that's where I'm thinking versus like a black box. And I have two ideas for spaces like that. Hema, I wouldn't want to do it in like a garden on a regular set. You keep saying Nyack Center, and I don't think you understand that that's a place that is too organized. Okay? Someplace like Nyack Center to me sounds like a place where it is a corporate run place, and it probably has Zionists on the board. Be clear. So Fahad, don't say stuff like that, because I am ready to do that. I am ready to do that. And this is the time to go to Saudi Arabia because they cool with this dude. I'll bet you Nyack Center it's a community center, but I'll bet you that you have to go through, rent our space. Yes. These types of spaces you got to get approval from a whole board of people versus like an individual space. You feel me? And so that's why I like bristle at those spaces. Okay, Rochelle's like, baby, I know the board. Fahad, don't say things like that because I will take you up on it. If anybody has ideas of spaces to perform What Would the Ancestors Say, please email vfowl. I'm gonna write it. Hold on one second. We chilling today. This is a chill episode, y'all. This is a hangout episode. This is for people who don't have nowhere to be on Memorial Day. Like you didn't get invited to no barbecues, or maybe you didn't even want to go to a barbecue. And so we here today because let me tell you, I remember when I lived in New York in my 20s, I just remember being so lonely on Memorial Day, Labor Day. I mean, I just literally just went back to that space. Memorial Day, Labor Day, and July 4th. I remember feeling so miserable, and like no one wanted to, like, people would have me over. People would want to go to the club with me, and people would want to hang out with me. But when it was like family day, which is what that time was, when, they would leave me out. And I just remember always crying on these days. Always crying and feeling so lonely. But now Rochelle says she got the hookup. Holla if you hit me. So Rochelle, email this so we can connect, okay? Because but I will tell you, if you're feeling that way today, it can get better. It can get better. I'm telling y'all, I used to be down low. Okay? I used to be down low. I distinctly remember on a July 4th, there was a community garden right next door to where I used to live on 151st. And this woman who ran the garden was such a mean person. She was so mean. And I just remember going in there and wanting to lay on a blanket and read. And she was like, no, you can't lay. No. And it was like, why? Like, she ran that garden like it was her own garden. Like, you were not allowed to sit on a bench. You weren't allowed to just enjoy the space. And it was such a beautiful space. Like, it was so, she did a great job of gardening. And I remember being there and really every time just trying to be so kind and trying to be so like small and make myself smaller and smaller and smaller in order to gain access to this garden. And finally, I went there that July 4th and I ended up, I laid down, I sat down to read a book and then I changed position and laid on my stomach. And she was like, you need to leave the garden. We don't do that here. And so I remember going back into the house and just falling to pieces. Just falling to pieces. And what I will tell you is this, y'all. The best service that you can do for yourself is to figure out how to be as fortified in you as possible. And as somebody who suffered for 42 years from shame, I just didn't think I was I didn't feel like I was a good person because people would always tell me I wasn't because of my tone. It didn't matter what I did in the world. Celine, it's the garden on 151st in Amsterdam. And I just never, it wasn't until I self-diagnosed autistic and really began to understand why my brain works certain ways, why my brain responds to certain ways. Oh yes, it was a Black woman. She was a shrew. I loved my neighborhood, but that was a one broad who was just and anybody who know that neighborhood probably knows exactly who I'm talking about and knows that lady, if she's still running it, is a bitch. And my tone, would rub people the wrong way, etc. And it was just a really long time before I was able to not only love myself, but enjoy being by myself. Just a side note, Jonathan Gonzalez, you had said, why can't you just, you should just bank. Let me not misrepresent him again. He said, maybe you could bank some material while you're gone. And I was like, y'all be acting like that's easy. But Jonathan, I am going to bank some material while I'm gone. So I just want to let you know, Jonathan Gonzalez, that material is being banked as we speak. This right here, Leah Mabry, people often think I'm intimidating, but I'm just autistic. Yeah. Maryland, that garden, I think the only reason why I knew it was, I used to live on 151st between Convent and Amsterdam. And so I was able to see, I had to walk by it to go in to go to my building. But the thing about that time and feeling like I wasn't being, like I would be so lonely, I think back and I feel like ultimately what I was really feeling was a sadness that I wasn't being like accepted into a space that felt like unconditional love. Because that's what family feels like, a space of unconditional love. And I'm going to just give you a tip. For some of us, there will not be that space in the way that we imagine it. Okay? For some of us, there will not be that space in the way that you imagine it. So you need to reimagine what that means. Like I found unconditional love here with y'all. I have found unconditional love with myself. I never thought about that. And someone on my Patreon introduced the word interdependence versus codependence. And it was a real bright light for me, because the codependence is when your interconnectivity with people is toxic because you're basing your worth on that interconnectivity. Whereas interdependence is the opposite of toxic. It's fortifying because it's your cherry on top. It's not the ice cream, but it's the cherry on top. You are the ice cream. You are the ice cream. But baby, that cherry on top though, it just adds to it. Like I'm great. And then I get on here with y'all and I'm phenomenal. But if the bar is already great, then you good no matter what. I never thought I would be living the same life as my mother. I told her that yesterday. I was like, we live the same life. And she's like, what you mean? I'm like, you at the house by yourself? I'm at the house by myself. Yep. I'm here at the house by myself, thinking about how I'm going to make some truffle potatoes later. I love this. Okay. Deetra said, I am the ice cream. And Sarah followed up with a whole snack. Yes. And I apologize to anyone who's here on the day off, but you're not getting the typical episode of Views from Amanda Land. We just hanging out. Okay. We just hanging out. And Marilyn said, listen, if you live in Detroit and you need that type of space, that pastoral vibes with the flowers and the grass, please visit Griffin Gardens. It's the exact space that Amanda is describing. I hope so. Do I still find myself being lonely and sad? No. And I think the reason why I don't find myself being lonely and sad is because my lonely and sadness was attached to something I no longer believe about myself. My loneliness and sadness was attached to a feeling like I just was hard to love. And so there was a reason why I was lonely and sad. And the reason was me. I'm the problem, right? My lonely and sadness was attached to this idea that there was a man out there that was going to be fulfilling that need. And if I could just, get to that man and attach myself and really show up in the right way, then I would be free. and I would be there with that person, and we could, and I would be complete. But I know for a fact that there is not a man, woman, or non-binary person that will complete me. Nope. And so because I know that that is not the case, I no longer have loneliness and sadness. I feel like what I do have, ever so often is despair at just the state of the world and not being able to like change things immensely. So that's more so where my sadness derives from, And my next door neighbor, I remember her one time saying, I remember my next door neighbor saying straight up, "You're never going to find your equal." And I was like, "What you mean?" She was like, "They don't even make men here that are on our level." And I was like, "Keep going." And she was like culturally, they don't make men here that are on our level. The men who are on our level have to either leave or they have to go through like real shifts internally. They have to extend themselves far beyond what they are expected to be here. So she was like, there's really like, it's not an expectation that you can genuinely have, because you'll always be disappointed. So she was like, and she said her mother was like, "Are you prepared to be a mother forever?" And she was like, "What do you mean?" And she was like, "Because that is what it is to be a wife. You will be a mother forever. Even if you are not having children, you will be a mother forever. You will always be their mother." And I was like, "What?" And she was like, "Yeah, that's what my mom said." And her mother is Persian. "You will always be their mother." Yes, I apologize, KB. I meant here in the United States. So I was like, I'm going to tell you when my partner's going to show up. For my entire life, I have always said, writers always be falling in. Writers always be getting their partner. And so now that I am falling into like committing to be a writer, watch. Watch it happen. Cheeky said, "I've been single for years now, and one of the reasons is lack of loyalty. I refuse to be unhappy in a relationship just to say I have someone." That's real. Listen, this is not an apply all scenario. For some folks, they have found a great harmony. They have found a great balance. And I think that's lovely. But I think that we get provided this message that if you haven't found that, it's because there's a problem with you. And that's just not always the scenario. I think ultimately we have a lot of people who are unhealed and are looking for healing in their relationship. Denise says, "Do you still find yourself feeling lonely and sad, referring to the absence of the family dynamic because of failed expectation, them not living up to the value you place on them?" To be quite honest, Denise, I think writing the book really took me over that hump. I'm not sure necessarily why writing the book did that, but like, I don't miss my aunt. I feel completely resolute in her being excised from my life. Knowing her, she probably watching this right now because she don't have the guts or the she's just incapable of seeing beyond her own narcissism to square things with me. Even though she knows, it's not possible for her to square things with me, to be honest. But I think that there's, hold on, I'm getting feedback and I got to figure out why. I think for me, the catharsis of writing the book um was what I needed, but there's, it becomes, what do you need? My family just doesn't know how to family. And so I think part of it was also when I read the book Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents, it also let me just really understand them. Like, and not necessarily like be displeased with them anymore, but just kind of just like, I mean, it is what it is. Like more, like be more accepting. Right. And a lot of us from Caribbean or, immigrant backgrounds, like we just know that emotions are not a part of the upbringing for the past few generations. I mean, they didn't have room. So it just becomes a really ridiculous expectation. Like, I love how Patricia just put a Haitian flag. So, I mean, I told my mother yesterday for the first time in a very long time, I was like, I miss you. In my mind, I was like, don't mess it up. In my mind, I was like, don't up. But yeah, I mean, I think there's also the true reality that it just takes, I remember my previous therapist saying this, but like for some people, it just takes a lot of time to really let the shift sink in. Like they read the book, they go to the therapy, but it takes some years sometimes for it to like actually stick to their bones and like be able to get it. And in your own process where you're already there, you like, this is, oh my God, this is taking a long time. So it's taken, quite some time for there to be a certain peacefulness in that. I think also like my mom was having a lot of health issues that I think were, having an effect on her ability to, I guess, like show up, beyond or to apply like new things. This is really, that is an emotionally immature person. That book, Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents, I think what it does is it doesn't change anything about your parents, but it changes your perspective. So then that shifts your expectations. And once your expectations are shifted, you can kind of like do a lot better for yourself in terms of like setting yourself up for disappointment. It's just not I think the cycle starts to change for you. And you're able to excise yourself a bit more from how to place them. So like, I know, my family, they were very, our name is very respectable. Our name is very like, my grandmother and grandfather, they raised like very professional, career driven, highly educated kids that became adults that are all those things and that are completely emotionally bereft. My mother has only had to learn emotions because I have been insistent. I've been insistent, and I've been insistent at my own detriment sometimes. I've been insistent at my own detriment sometimes at being like, I'm just not gonna let you off the hook. And then she has a tantrum and I'm like, are you done? Y'all, we are parenting our parents. We are parenting our parents. Many of us. And then there were times where I had to like check my, not physically, but like check my mom. Like, I'm smarter at this than you. I know more about this than you. No orange moon, you ain't a deadbeat. Be tired, girl. I don't think my mom really, really started to shift until I just really was like, I was like, I really don't want you here. I told my mom straight up, like, you're visiting and I really would like you to leave. I really don't want you here. And she was like, that's mean. I said, that's true. That's true. And the truth hurts. And then she had like went downstairs and she like slept downstairs. And I just had to become so knowledgeable about what the toxicities of our relationship are that I believe have nothing to do with us. And so then I address those things. Like she was like, you made me go downstairs and sleep. I said, I didn't make you do nothing. You decided to go down there and have a tantrum. Ain't nobody tell you to go down there and sleep, but you wanted to be dramatic. Now, what you could have done is had a conversation. She's a Taurus. That's what sign. I said, now what you could have done is had a conversation with me, and you could have said, I understand what you're talking about, and I should have done that different. And then you could have gone and did the thing that I was upset about. But you didn't do none of that. You made it about you, and you went downstairs and slept. That's your fault. So, I'm not taking the L for that. Woo, that Taurus, that's a bull. They hitting you head on. Yes, honey, the drama. Listen, I may be a thespian, but my mama is the drama queen. Okay? And Kimberly said, I spoke so much truth. My mom offered me part of my inheritance to get away from her so she could hire a nurse instead. Ugh. Did you take the money? That's what I want to know. Did you take the money? Because sometimes when people do stuff like that, you like, will do. I'm going to take the money and I'm going to come back. I'm going to take the money and I'm going to come back. I told you to go away. Well, I changed my mind. Well, you got to give me my money back. No. One time my mama said, don't interrupt a man because they feel like to be heard and understood. I was like, baby, that's everybody. Oh, Lord. Here's my tea. Here's what I want to share with y'all in my experience. Ultimately, you have to do the work on you to be able to trust you. Okay? So the amount of work that I have done on myself allows me to trust myself because I know I'm not out here flying by night. I self-examine, I analyze, like I have tools because I've put in the work. This is what confidence is. I'm confident in myself because I know that I have put the work into myself in an honest way. And once you can do that, I'm telling you, that is the true freedom that this world of fears for you to have. That is liberation. Because what it is you connecting to the God in you, whatever you want to call it, but it's you being able to hear your actual soul over the noise. And when you're able to hear that, my friends, it alleviates you of so much. Sometimes our parents are noise. Why? Because they have been in the same world of nonsense. They've been in the same world of nonsense. So they're a lot of times spewing that same word back to you. And you might be the one who came to just be the generational end of that. Yeah. You know how many Korean movies I watch, Korean TV shows I watch, and you just see these mothers just doing the worst. And I be wondering, like, is this a depiction for allegory purposes, or is this a depiction of actual cultural norms? What I loved about the show, When Life Gives You Tangerines, is that I need to look up who wrote that show, because I feel like they made a concerted effort, considering the way that feminism is being experienced in South Korea right now. I feel like they made a concerted effort to say, we're going to show you what motherhood is supposed to look like. I got to look it up. But I'm telling y'all, the biggest thing you can invest in your life is the work of understanding you. If you can't afford a therapist, find PDFs of the books that you can Google, like you can Google books about codependency. You can follow people on Instagram. You can look on TikTok and YouTube. But when I tell you, when you have that solidity, it makes this life a lot more bearable. It makes this life a lot more bearable. And you're talking to someone who did not have that solidity and has had to stay the course. Library. Yes, India. Library. My God. Why didn't I think of that? Library. And I will tell you, I reached a point where it was like my mom could come or go. I reached that point, and you know, she's switched up in a positive way. So I feel very fortunate. Look at Mrs. Debbie. Young people have new ideas. Like the elders this is the elder I want to be. An elder that understands that I may have wisdom, but young people have information that I just may not have. Jessica says Patrick Tehan has been a great YouTube resource on childhood trauma healing for me. Listen, there's for those who just got here, you know, we started talking at the beginning of this episode. I was talking about how during these holidays, Memorial Day, Labor Day, July 4th, I used to just really struggle with loneliness. And I found my way through that. And so I want to encourage anybody who on this day is like, dang, I didn't get invited to a barbecue or et cetera, et cetera. I want to encourage you to find some type of space for just you. And even if it may not be your norm, even if you start crying in that place, take that place. Go sit outside in nature if you can, or go to a bookstore. Go to somewhere that, you know, it has things that you like, a toy store, etc. And just allow yourself to be by yourself. And it's not it's not about being lonely, it's about being in solitude. Kimberly, my mom once said that a parent's passing can feel like relief instead of grief. Let me tell you something I want to remind everybody here. We have no choice in who we're born to and where we're born. Okay? It really is a luck of the draw. Amanda Land. Amanda. How about now? Anything? Anything? How we doing? Oh my God, we back! My gosh. Bizarre. Bizarre. um, man, that's bug that it was at Souls. So, India. So anyway, Oh, you can't choose your parents. That's what I was saying. You can't choose your parents. You can't choose where you were born. You can't. So that's why, in the best case scenario, our society makes demands of us so that no matter where we're born and no matter who our parents are, we'll be okay. Right. And I think that's just been like human evolution. This idea of protection is essentially in order for us as a species to continue to exist, we then adjust to the whole, there's been different living conditions that have been created for the purpose of our survival. My mom has done the same thing, LaShawn. The same thing. She said she had to apologize to her daughter for the father she chose for her, an emotionally immature parent. We also just don't have an emotionally mature society. Like, we just really don't. And I think some people have it within them to, kind of like step it up and get into the next space and realm, but some don't. And there's that. There's an episode we did of my podcast, Side Effects of, it was small doses, side effects of healing from toxic relationships. And the guest was just talking about how some people are a gallon and some people are a quart or something like that. I don't do measurements. And basically just saying like, some people have emotional capacity and some people just don't. And those are realities. I think like my ex, in his best of efforts, would have loved to have emotional capacity. But he just didn't. He just didn't. And, he could only present but so long in a positive emotional space before he would, kind of regress. Oh, this is cool, Salim. She's a PTA president, and Reparenting Ourselves is a workshop we do monthly because I have followed parents who never grew up with emotionally mature parents. Yes. Yo, I still got to get Jabari Brisport for you as a great company. Yes, you do. Sandy walked into class on the remix. So. Well, here's the thing, Adrienne. I have experienced that the people who don't somehow who aren't able to like have the capacity, I have had the experience of them saying it, but it's done in the context of like, I want too much. So they're just like, I'll just never be enough for you. I'll just never be enough for you. And it's like, it's not about you being enough for me. It's really that you're not even showing up for yourself. Okay. So Connie's keeping it a buck. Some of us grew up with no parenting and we are raising kids blind as heck, but trying hard and stepping up. We love it. We love it. We love it. If you're just joining us, I was talking earlier about how I am very focused on bringing What Would the Ancestors Say, my one-woman show, to the people. I'm looking to be able to perform it in free spaces. And much love, Natalie, out there in Saudi. And I know that I should have taken this. I probably should have done a full show on this Memorial Day, since this is the day that most people got to actually see the show. But y'all, we're doing something different today. We'll be back to a normal show tomorrow. Okay. But if you have a space or connects to a space where What Would the Ancestors Say can be performed in, please email this email at the bottom to get in touch with us, because I'm really trying to figure this out. And as much as I don't like touring, so it's not like I really want to be on tour, but I do want to be able to bring the show. So Cassie, we don't start with Wednesdays until after my July break. So starting in August, we'll do once a week shows. How big does the space have to be? A minimum of 50. So like in a space that has like 50 people, right? In order for that to be worth my time, if I'm traveling, then ideally I'd be able to do it like multiple times, right? Elijah, let's talk, because DC is my number one market. How much time do I need for the event? 2 hours. I'm not going to touch on Forever today, Alejandro. Tomorrow I'm going to touch on Forever. Nicholas said, Amanda, you're keeping relationships low key, right? You mean like romantic relationships? Ain't none of those to keep low key. Not a single one. Nope. I don't get hollered at. And when I do, it's like creepy. I just had to kick somebody out of my Patreon yesterday because they literally said in a comment, now come over here and let me love you, with a smiley face with shades. Go away. Go away. That was creepy McNeepy, and I don't like it. I don't like it. So one second. So if you want to follow my artwork, you're going to go to the Whatnot app. If you want to follow like lifestyle, politics, you're going to subscribe to Patreon. If you want my writings, you're going to go to Substack. And if you want to watch oh my God, TCH commentary, well, it's actually commentary and interviews. Commentary and interviews will be right here at YouTube. Okay? Those are where you will find me. Thanks, Tracy. Will I be stopping by NY? I have a free show in NY on Saturday. I have a free show in New York City this Saturday at the People's Forum. So if you're in New York, you can come see that show. I'm trying to find the do 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 do. There it is. And if you are not able to get to that show, then you'll be able to watch the live stream. And the live stream link is available at thepeoplesforum.com. It's at peoplesforum.org, actually. Sorry, peoplesforum.org to get the live stream link. And your What's the Ancestor Say pin will be available. Yay, I get to meet Andrew in person. Thank you, Felicia. So Whatnot is different, y'all. Whatnot is like, I'll be doing live art. I also I'm dabbling in being able to like do live art and then in real time, like make it available to you. So like do the live art and then it's like, all right, do y'all want prints of this? Do y'all want pillows of this? You know, that kind of vibe. Hey, we're actually, class is real low key today. This is like when, remember when they would have planning day and the teacher would be like, we just chilling today. I remember I had a teacher that made an apple pie. She spent the whole day making apple pie. She's like, that's all we doing today. We making apple pie. And I remember she had these like we could like decore the apple, but it was in a way that wouldn't hurt us, like in fourth grade. And like, no, that was that third grade. Yeah, that was third grade. And so we had to like, someone asked if we can do a pick your brain. Y'all want to do a pick your brain and ask me a question? We could do a little pick your brain. I got a little bit of time. Jessica said that Whatnot is a cool platform. Yes. 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 I really do hate that phrase. You know I do. Y'all really don't understand about the wheeling in the TV because we would all be like, oh, yes. Am I considering Whatnot for art classes? Not so much. I don't know that it would be the best place to do art classes. I still have to like get on there and really get busy. So we'll put a pin in that. Because maybe it will work. But let's put a pin in it. Do people do that on there? Yeah, Princess Bride is. My name is Inigo Montoya. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. This is inconceivable. I do not think that word means what you think it means. Oh. So here's the thing about spaces like this. They are government funded. Any place where there's red tape is trouble because Zionists are everywhere. Facts. Grenada's pretty epic for Carnival. I don't like all them people. I don't like all them people. It's too much. I like the pan. I like the steel pan competition, but that's about it. Someone asked, are you planning art on textiles? Definitely on totes. Pajamas is different because then you have to like get them made and then you have to do sizing and all of that stuff. And like, that's the kind of thing that I'm not interested in. I really want to do textiles like towels, blankets, tea towels. Like I want to get into that and it's going to take time for me to get into it in like a more major way, but I want to start small with, just really kind of being able to honestly get people to even know that I do art. I'd like to start there, you know, with just people even knowing that I create. I don't think people know that about me. And so that's really where I want to like stick with. Like in the beginning, it's going to be about pillows. When I tell y'all I love a pillow, I love a pillow. It's going to be like pillows, totes, and tea towels. Okay. So there's that. I will be making adult coloring books. Yes. I'll be doing a lot of stuff. I just got to like wrap my mind around all of it. But I got to, that takes time. If the guy in the club who uses his entire body to move past you bothers you, carnival is going to be tough. Correct. That's why I don't do carnival. Yes. The next pin drop is the first. Hold on, let me see something right here. The next pin drop is June 6th. And I will do that pin drop on Whatnot. Rochelle said, how else can we help you get paid? I mean, it's not really, it's more so just it's more so really right now me figuring out how I want my life and my, how I want my life and my creative life and my business to converge. And that's just, that's still in process. That's still in process. And, yeah, at some point, like I know that I want to write on Substack, and I want to release volumes of my writing from Substack. So my Substack is called Ethically Rude. And so I want it to be, Ethically Rude Volume 1, Ethically Rude Volume 2. I want it to be a collect them all. I know that with my ancestor calling cards, like I want people to collect them. I want them to be collector's items. So like the next batch of ancestor calling cards, like you would pay to either get the full set or you would pay a smaller fee to add to whatever, the 3 that you already have. Someone just got a flat tire. Yeah, it's like Pokemon. But the thing is that when you're at this phase that I am in my life, everything is at the beginning, it feels. So it's like it's like everything feels like it's starting at this beginning. And that's a lot. When you have all the brain stuff that I've got going on in my mind, you're like, everything's at the beginning. So, it's just a lot of newness all at once. Yes, Cassie, welcome to life, young grasshopper. This is the thing, Leah. This is how I felt when I started stand-up. I started doing stand-up when I was at like 32. And it was like, how am I at the beginning of this? But I was at the beginning of it. And I had to just settle in and, keep going. And then eventually, because I was at the beginning, but I wasn't starting with nothing. And that's the difference. You can't skip steps. You can't skip steps, but you can speed them up. And the way they end up getting sped up is because you already have the skills. Like you're not having to learn also all these other new skills at the same time. I don't need to learn how to write. I just need to get writing, right? I don't need to learn how to do art. I just have to get arting. So it's like stuff like that. And having the brain space to be creative. I wouldn't say this is a part of my PhD program. I mean, my thesis is, that we are the soil, that Black bodies are the soil. And I feel like what I'm watching right now is like literally Black people be colonized like Earth, like physical Earth. That's what I'm watching right now. I feel like I am literally watching Black beings be colonized the way that they have colonized the earth, land. That's what I'm witnessing. The way that they stole land, the way that they degraded the land, the way that they then assimilated the land into their needs, the way that they then used the land for their wants, the way that the land like literally betrayed itself because now the soil isn't useful. Yep. That's how I see what we're watching right now. And in order for me to prove that thesis, I have to prove, one, that we are first and foremost an indigenous body. And I believe that. I believe that Black people in the United States are a unique form of indigeneity. And then the second part of that is that we have been, our bodies being the soil, has been colonized the way that they have colonized the land of indigenous people. So we are both the people and the property, which we were, but in a very unique way. And this is why I believe that at this point, you cannot be Black and American. You have to make a choice. And if that means we have to come up with another name, then so be it. But I do not believe that at this point, you can claim Americanness and Blackness in the same voice. So that's why when people say like they're ADOS, American descendants of slaves, or there's another one, there's ADOS and there's another one. Like all of that to me is out the window. In order for you to be an indigenous, committed to the indigeneity of your Blackness, I believe that you now have to disassociate yourself from Americanness. And, there's a conversation I had with Afeni, who is at Facts on Fire on Instagram, on Small Doses, and you'll get to hear that conversation. But I was talking about my thesis, and she was like, well, I just don't feel like we're American. Like, I just don't feel like we're American. And what I said to her was, we don't have to be. You're saying you're moving to African American and that Black has been appropriated. I don't believe that anything can be what it can be appropriated outside of what you want it to be. But if you're going to say that you're moving to African American, I literally had a white woman in an audition tell me it is incorrect to call myself Black. I should be calling myself African American. So if that's not appropriation, baby, I don't know what is. Okay? I love Black because Black as a color, as an artist, and artists, and exactly, you can't control other people's actions, but yet you're literally saying that other people's actions are controlling you. Black as a color is every color. Black is every color. All together. Black is opaque. It is not see-through. Black is space where all of this came from. So I like Black. And Maxine Shaw said, real Black. Yeah. So there's that. Now, Sling and Slater said, I react to my environment all the time. Okay. I feel like there is I'm telling you, I literally was in this audition, and it was 3 white people. It wasn't even an audition. It was just a general meeting. And these 3 white people were like, well, one of them said, that her son had come over to her and said, oh, that black kid over there. And she was like, oh my God, Timothy, you cannot say black. And I was like, yes, you can. What's wrong with the word black? She said, no, the proper term is African-American. And I said, well, I am a black person. And I am telling you that black is also a proper term. Like she's telling me. Yes. And ultimately, all of these words end up being ways in which we describe ourselves because we are different. We are. And the assimilation that is being attempted right now is being done so in order for us to be used literally against ourselves. So yes, I have a whole thesis about this that I want to go to school to have rigorous academic study to put in writing. And I also had realized that it was not the right time to put out my memoir, also because it just feels like it's tone deaf to put out my memoir in the current state of things. It just isn't right. It doesn't feel right to put my memoir out right now. You know? It will come out, but it just doesn't feel right to put it out right now. And it will feel right at a certain point, and then I'll put it out. Because that's what I do. I lean on my intuition to guide me. John S. Blake coming in hot. I feel like Jasmine Crockett and Cory Booker are tools to manipulate us into assimilation. Cory Booker, absolutely. I don't think Jasmine realizes that. I think in the last year and a half, she's become that. When I met her, I don't believe she was that by any means. But I think that in the past few years, in the last year and a half, she's become that. And I don't know that she, I don't know Jasmine deeply. But the little that I do know of her, I do believe that she will wake up from it. I think that, most of us, we find ourselves in situations with the best of intentions and can get swept up. That's common. We are also, and I will remind us of this again and again and again, we are indoctrinated in this country. We are indoctrinated. We are brainwashed in a very, very deep way. We look at Israel and we're like, wow, look how brainwashed they are. We are brainwashed as well. Okay? Remember that we were pledging a flag. You think it's weird she didn't reply to my text? I don't. People know I'm the truth. They might be lying to themselves in the moment, like, oh, she's a lot, but they know I'm the truth. So I feel like sometimes we have to just have some acknowledgement of how deep that work is on us in the United States. And, like I said in the beginning of the show, there are people who are fighting tooth and nail to stand on being a Democrat. And in order to do so, they have to exercise immense cognitive dissonance. It's the same way that anyone at this point who is standing on, I stand for Israel, you're literally just standing on psychopathy, psychopathy, sociopathy, all the pathies. Okay? Chattypathy. That's it. So there's at some point you have to say, okay, Lulu said capitalism is modern day slavery. Baby, slavery is capitalism. So it's like at some point you either give in or you step out. You either give in or you step out. So it is noon, so I'm going to take my leave. Cheeky said, if you go toe-to-toe with Amanda, you better have your facts straight. This is the other thing, though. I have grown. Like, I have been on this internet in a visible way since 2008. It is now 2025. That's almost 20 years. So I have evolved. So I don't want to hear people referencing things from like 2021 the same way I don't want to hear about it from 2008. If you're not going to acknowledge that I show up different in 2025, like we evolve, I should hope, right? We should evolve. And so in that process, my way of responding to things has changed in some ways. In some ways, it's still the same. However, I just feel like a lot of times we just want people to stay in stasis, and that's just not a realistic thing. Now, I have not finished this edit, but I wanted to show it to you all anyway because it's so in process. So you'll see the final tomorrow. But it's worth checking out. And I hope that you enjoy the latest Topher Shanks. I was a model, then an actress. Now I got the Topher Shanks show. Got the Topher Shanks show. Strong, black, beautiful woman. Topher Shanks show. What y'all niggas watching? Topher Shanks.
All of us here at the Topher Shanks show commend you for finding your voice and squabbling up. Hello! Just writing a little message to my good friend Kendrick Lamar. This is another edition of
Topher Shanks.
Amanda Seales has outdone herself. Once again, she is giving us creativity, intellectualism, combined synergy. And every month, she finds a new way to bring us in. I'm just here using my new Amanda Seales created ancestor calling cards. You know, technology has struck the power of correspondence from us. Receiving the written word, it expresses effort. It expresses empowerment. It expresses literacy. And it says to someone, I want you to have this to keep, to hold on to reference, to put up in your bathroom in the morning so that you can greet the day. Put in your office so when that boss of yours comes through with their mediocre white man attitude, you can take one look at Harriet and say, oh, she's got my back. Now, what we have here is something that is super beautiful and unique. It says to us, our ancestors are on the main line. Whether it's Harriet on the jack, Frederick on the Conair phone in the kitchen with the cord longer than the Mega Man's lies, or Dr. MLK on the Bluetooth, chirp, chirp, you know we would have had one. These are times where joy must be mined from the mind. And so we must find inexpensive but effective ways to stay connected. And I will say, as a veteran model and actress, you know, I remember one time when Harry Belafonte, he sent me the most beautiful correspondence. It was absolutely incredible. And in that letter, he radicalized me. You know, he said to me, Topher, it's no more just being a model. Topher, it's no more just being an actress. Topher, we've got to get active. Yeah. And I gotta tell you, if he had sent it in a text, it wouldn't have had the same effect. Entendre, please send me Oprah's address. You know Lieutenant Nyota Uhura of the Starship Enterprise? Yeah, rest in peace to Nichelle Nichols. It was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. who had sent her a letter after she did the first season of the show and said, we need you to stay. We need you to stay because we need to see Black people everywhere, not just in legislative positions, but in space. Not with Jeff Bezos, though. Entendre, please send me Gail's address. Do you know somebody that needs to stand up for themselves, that needs to find the voice in that chakra and let it out? Send them the Frederick Douglass calling card. Call at Frederick for the courage to loudly speak the truth. Do you have a comrade that's in struggle and strife that needs an extra battery in the back to keep on going? Send them the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. calling card. Tap in with Dr. MLK Jr. to fortify your perseverance through struggle. Have a homie, homette, or non-binary home person that is setting out on an adventure, a journey, stepping into uncharted waters and is looking for fortification? Send them the Harriet Tubman calling card. Call on Harriet to provide protection on uncertain pathways. And by popular demand, Miss Seals has brought out the Harriet Tubman Pistol Patch! Ah! Yes! Now, this patch can be worn on your denim jacket. It can be worn to cover up a little hole in those sweatpants. It can be worn on a hat. Baby, let them people know that you are connected and protected. And if you didn't get a chance to get your Harriet pistol pin, what will she do for us next? She's brought it back, the Harriet pistol pin with the signed bookmark. What Would the Ancestors Say is a one-woman show created by Amanda Seals that seeks to ask the question, what would the ancestors say about where we are and where we are going? And asks ourselves, what kind of ancestor would we be for those coming after us? Using hilarious stand-up comedy and characters, thoughtful commentary, and fact-based lecture, Miss Seals provides audiences with edutainment that is so desperately needed at a time when this country is dedicated to the erasure of not only Black history, but Black identity. Edutainment is imperative. Make sure to sign up for the newsletter at amandalandexports.com to find out when What Would the Ancestors Say will be performing near you. I'm going to send these Frederick cards so people can find their voice and finally start supporting an end to the G-side in Hassa. It's been 19 months and you've been rather quiet. Andandra, send me everyone in Hollywood's addresses, please. Thank you. And both Obamas. Yes. Fabulous. Ta-Nehisi Coates, I'd like to send him one to continue on his journey as a voice. Oh, they're going to love these. Trying to make sure you don't miss anything at Amandaland Exports? Download the Whatnot app so you can be there for live drops where certain items are only available and so you can make sure to get up on It's a good time. The Whatnot app, the Amandaland Export store, and you. Yes, Entendre.
Excuse me, Miss Shanks. I have some unfortunate news. So you got to see the rough edit. You got to see the rough edit. So you'll see the final. I'll post the final tonight to YouTube. I am so proud of this one. I love it so much. Adrian said if she had two assistants named Entendre, it's a double entendre. Why are you giving me more work to do? Because now I got to do that. Now I have to do that. Damn. Oh my gosh. Entendre was Jennifer Lewis has a movie where her daughter's name is Entendre. And I've never let that go. So if you were thinking about getting the postcards, now get them. Okay. So make sure you go to amandalandexports.com And tomorrow night at 6 p.m., I will be doing a live on What's Not, on what, blah, blah, blah. I will be doing a live on Whatnot so that you guys can actually get a chance to see, you know, not only like the postcards, but I also have been like making these little pouches for them. They're not like anything extravagant, but I'm like sewing paper for their pouches. So you guys will get to see that. Yeah, so there's that. I feel like this has been a really cool, different kind of day. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Like I said earlier, I am looking to bring What Would the Ancestors Say to free venues to be able to do free shows. And let me just tell you something that I found interesting when I was trying to do something similar with this in LA with In Amanda We Trust, which is my documentary about the government. And the fact that, you know, the United States is really filled with people that don't know the government, but it's funny. So you can check it out at Patreon. You can even check it out without becoming a subscriber at Patreon. But what I will say is that when I was promoting, trying to do In Amanda We Trust, like talkbacks and forums, in LA, I was looking to do them at Black-owned businesses where they wouldn't have to do anything. Like if they have chairs, then we'll have chairs. If they don't have chairs, they don't have chairs. But the point was I could use my following to bring people to their space, and then they can also let me use that space to talk to people about something that is uplifting, right? It's not like I'm talking to them about, you know, nonsense. Like I'm talking to them about uplifting information that and literally like empowering information. And it was genuinely trippy how people really was not down for it. They were like, no, you need to pay us. You're using us. And they could not see the barter. They couldn't see the barter. It was really trippy. They literally could not grasp the barter in the situation. And I thought it would be a no-brainer. I thought it would be like a no-brainer. Like, yeah, I mean, I'll come to your space. I'll promote it. You promote it. They were like, we're worried about security. We're worried about them people making a mess of the space. Like it was bonkers to me. And this was like Black bookstores. There was like Black coffee shops. And I could not believe how people were not down for it. It was mind-blowing to me. So, I mean, I think that's also sometimes part of the LA of it all. So it was supposed to be at 7 places. It ended up being at 3. Yeah. It ended up being at 3. It ended up being at Harriet's Bookshop in Pasadena. So shout to Nikki, at this weed spot in Inglewood, maybe, but it was a really dope venue. And, actually, I think it only ended up being at 2. I think we only ended up doing 2. Because then they were like changing. It was like, honestly, like it was genuinely like jarring to me how folks were not interested in the exchange. And maybe that's because they weren't interested in me. That's fair, right? They could have just been like, oh, like we just don't like you. But for the most part, it was like the conversations started and then they just fell off. So, you know, as much as we sit here and we're like, this makes perfect sense. Whereas like with the People's Forum, which doesn't surprise me since it's a socialist communist space, they were like, yeah, duh. Duh. And then they were like, you know, do you want to do the live stream on your site or on ours? And I'm like, of course we'll do it on yours because I'll bring more people now to the People's Forum. That's the barter. And the wild part, Rolando, is that they could have capitalized off this literally. It was like, what? I mean, they could have, like, I just didn't understand that. Like, there was a coffee place that was like, well, it's just going to be too difficult for us. And I was like, I mean, you could literally, like, just for the day, make like a what would the ancestors say coffee. People will literally just buy it just because they're there. Like, your store's already open. So that was the other thing too. It was like these were spaces that were already open. I wasn't asking them to stay on longer. Like, they didn't have to do anything extra, but they were just like, nah, you got to pay us. I think I told you about when I tried to do this thing called the Soulful, so what was it called? Soulful Safe Space. I tried to do this at the Hilltop Coffee place in Inglewood. And basically what I wanted to do was do like a free thing where I would have a mic on either side, and one side would be one point of view and the other side would be another point of view about a particular topic. And so folks would come and they would speak to each other on each mic. And like, people wouldn't stand up until they felt like they had something to say. But it was also cool because we would see people that would start on one side, and then as they're hearing people talk, then they would cross and change to the other side. But it made it into like a very, I wanted to call it a soulful safe space because I wanted to be a conversation about a Black topic amongst Black people that is safe, where we're not just like haranguing each other. We need to learn how to disagree. And they were like, no, you got it. It's a $1,500 rental. That was a discount. Actually, I had to ask for a discount, but they gave me a $1,500 rental. And this white lady who was an executive at NBC at the time, she actually saw me talking about it on Instagram, and she ended up sending me the bread. So, but that's what I'm going to continue. You know, I'm not discouraged though. I'm going to continue. So if anybody has any ideas about spaces where, you know, this type of work can be done, please let me know. I also understand that I'm in I call it the desert, which is a place of like it's like, it looks like a place of lacking because it doesn't have all of the flourish yet, but you end up finding so much during the lacking that that you wouldn't have in a time of flourishing. So if you have any insights on those, that's what this email is here for. Jonathan, outside would not be good, and I'm going to tell you why. The thing about outside, because the show does have quite a bit of comedy in it, the thing about outside is that outside isn't good for comedy because there's too much air. It's like there's too much space, and the intimacy really gives us the theatrical interaction that I think a lot of us need to really take in what's being said and what would the ancestors say. And Libby said, reach out to disabled creators and spaces if you see them. Okay. That makes sense. But you know, the other part of it, exactly, Cassie, is good audio. Like, I have music in the show, and it's difficult to kind of get audio where you want it in an outside space. It's just the realities of there not being a ceiling. I am live streaming this show on Saturday. This show will be live streamed on Saturday. So go to tpf.com and you can get the link for the live stream. Let me actually write that for you guys. Nope. Oh my God. Struggle types. Shooby dooby doop dap dap. Okay. So this is where you can go and get the link at peoplesforum.org. Is it the People's Forum? No, it's People's Forums, right? Yeah, peoplesforum.org. It is because you're watching me type. It's like, hurry up. So, y'all are saying names and being like, ask for so-and-so, et cetera, et cetera. If you can send me an email with that information, it would be much obliged, because this chat be moving and grooving. Moving and grooving. You can title it, What Would the Ancestors Say? Performance Space. I thank you all. I appreciate you. You all have a great rest of your day. And if you have a day off, take it off for real. Like, relax. Let your brain have some space. Okay. I think that's a fair request. And then we'll do this right here. Seconds of stillness. I enjoyed laughing and learning with you. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And tell your friends. Also, listen to the podcast. It's available everywhere pods are casted. Listen ad-free by subscribing to Patreon Amanda Seals. Come on and join the Seals Squad. Views from Amandaland. Live 10 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Wednesday, with content on Thursday and Friday at YouTube Amanda Seals TV.